Elias had always believed life was supposed to make sense. Work hard, be kind, follow the rules, and life will reward you. That's what he'd been told. That's what he wanted to believe. But the night his younger sister died in a car accident, all those beliefs shattered. One phone call, one sentence, and the world was no longer the place he thought it was. For weeks, he drifted like a ghost through his own life. Food had no taste. Music sounded like noise. The air itself felt heavier, as if gravity had turned cruel. People tried to comfort him. "She's in a better place," they said. "Time heals all wounds." But their words slid off him like water off glass. What he didn't know then, what he couldn't know, was that grief was not something to get over. It was something to travel through. And the journey would not return him to who he was before. It would change him entirely. One evening, unable to sleep, Elias wandered into a used bookstore that stayed open late. He found himself in the philosophy section, staring at a battered book by Carl Jung. The page he flipped to read. "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Something in him stirred. It was the first sentence in weeks that felt true. Over the months that followed, Elias began reading, not just Jung, but Rilke, Camus, and Viktor Frankl. Each writer seemed to be telling him the same thing in different words. Pain is not just a wound. It is a teacher. He realized he had spent most of his life avoiding discomfort, mistaking comfort for safety. But comfort had never taught him anything lasting. Pain, however, had cracked him open. It was in those cracks that he began to see the deeper truth of life. Everything is fragile, everything changes, and because of that, everything matters. One day, he walked past a park where children were playing. Their laughter cut through the air, pure and unguarded. He felt something unexpected, gratitude. Not for his sister's death, he would never be grateful for that, but for the way grief had stripped away his illusions and made moments like this feel more vivid. He noticed sunlight on leaves. He noticed the weight of his own breath. He noticed that life, even with its cruelty, still had beauty woven into it. Elias began volunteering at a grief support group. At first he said very little, but when he did speak, people listened, not because he had answers, but because he had been where they were. He told them the truth. The pain will not vanish, but it will change shape, and one day, it will not just be an anchor, it will be a compass. Years later, Elias would still visit his sister's grave. He would bring flowers and talk to her as if she could hear. And every time, he would leave with the same quiet understanding. We do not choose our suffering, but we can choose what we make of it. Pain will demand your attention. It will strip you of illusions. It will feel like it is breaking you. But sometimes, in the breaking, you awaken.